I'm going to tell you all 3 of my secrets. Okay, maybe there's 4. So today I want to dive right in and give you my top 4 tips for getting your picky eater to try different foods. This is something that I developed before I even had kids when I was working in childcare. And I made it easier to remember by making it a word association, all of them beginning with the letter C. So naturally, I call them the 4 C's. The first tip is calmness, and this is really prepping the stage for anything that you do at the table with your kids. It's not necessarily that it's going to guarantee that the remainder of your dinner guests are going to be able to imitate you at first, but it's just a way of pulling you back into the center and keeping in mind your goal, so that when things do get tough, you don't get frustrated, because that's the number 1 key to keeping things under control. So what I do before we have some sort of a meal is I look at the empty plate in front of me and I think, clean plate, clean slate. It's just a reminder to me that anything that's happened in the past, whether it's a failure or a success, it's not necessarily going to happen again for this meal. There's a lot of times where we'll backtrack. There's a lot of times when something won't go the way that I expected it to, and that could have been good or bad. But either way, we really just have to live in the present, because that's where our kids are. And in order to get them to improve on their eating habits, we have to meet them where they are. The second tip that I have for you is consistency. Now, I know that experts are always saying consistency, consistency, consistency. But there's a reason why, because it works. Consistency is the number 1 thing that kids depend on when it comes to expectations, and it also makes them feel at ease. The consistency is extremely important, especially when it comes to food. And it's funny because when I had younger kids, I really thought that consistency of offering the same food to them again and again probably only equated to about 2 to 3 times of offering it. What I didn't know was that at the age of 2, they need to try something at least 10 to 12 times before they'll like it. At the age of 5, that increases to 15 to 20 times. The younger that you can get them trying the food, the less times you're going to have to offer it to them before they develop a palate for it. However, don't get discouraged. I'm in a rough spot with my kids being older, and they are very picky eaters. So you're not alone if you have one of those situations. The third tip that I have is creativity. Now, I know that some of you are probably like, oh my gosh, Crystal, I am not creative at all. And that's okay. Your kids are, I guarantee you, because they need to play in order to discover things like food. If this is the only episode that you're going to watch, take this away. Your kids are your number 1 resource for finding a creative outlet when you're having dinner or lunch or whatever mealtime it is. If your child is playing with his meatball, rolling it around and making sounds, embrace that opportunity. Maybe pick up some of the noodles and make some tracks, or make funny shapes with the noodles. Just anything to get their little minds interested in what they have in front of them, and then eventually leading up to actually tasting it. It doesn't have to be all in the same meal, but it's a work in progress and you'll eventually get there. The 4th and final tip that I have for you is consequences. Look, I'm all about being a soft parent and encouraging them to have their own personalities and not being too physical with them or anything like that. But I think some parents forget that if you don't have a consequence, or if you try to soften the blow of a natural consequence, it's your kids aren't going to learn anything. So if, for example, your kid decides that they aren't going to have the rest of what's on their plate, then maybe you don't give them anything for the rest of the evening. And when they come back to you right before bedtime and say, I'm still hungry, you can sympathize with that. That's perfectly fine. But don't give them the opportunity to have you soften the blow for them. Tell them, yeah, that's a bummer. I really don't like being hungry either. What can we do next time? Maybe, you didn't eat a whole bunch on your plate, did you? And see if they can come to the conclusion themselves, but if not, you can tell them and just see how many times it's going to take until you get the message through. So I want to tell you a little bit about what's ahead for the Playful Bite. This is more for me than it is for anybody, because Lord knows that I have had problems in the past with staying consistent on my meal times with the kids, and I think that this is going to kind of keep me motivated to do that. But as much as I'm going to benefit from it, I think there's plenty of other people out there that's going to benefit from it as well. And so I've structured it in a way to give you as much information as possible in a little time commitment. So I'm going to be putting out 3 episodes a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And they each are going to kind of have a consistent theme. Mondays is going to be some sort of a tip that you can start implementing pretty quickly. Wednesdays is going to be an activity, and these are vital, especially for the ages that are between 2 and 5. Older kids, I will have some activities for them as well as the younger kids, but definitely it's a easy age to play with food between the ages of 2 and 5, because that's when they're really starting to develop their curiosity for food. So Fridays are going to be my R&R days, and what that means is reviews and recipes. I'm only going to bring forth either recipes and reviews of products that I have tried and tell you about my success or failure with them, because believe me, there will be some failures. But I also would love to bring in some of my friends who have tried different products or different recipes and have them share their experiences. So it's not going to be just me on the show. I definitely want feedback from you guys. I want to continue this journey with all of you and cheer you on as you make new successes. If you are excited about this project as much as I am, you can stay in touch with me by subscribing to my channel or following me on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest. And eventually I'm going to have some sort of a website, so be in tune for that. Also, just check back once in a while, because I'm going to be putting up a couple of videos that are strictly just for fun while still relating to the topic. That's all for the Playful Bite. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.